Today we're diving into one of the most beloved RPGs on the Super Nintendo, Secret of Mana, a groundbreaking title that redefined multiplayer role-playing and pushed the Super Nintendo to its limits. But what's the real story behind this cult classic? And did you know it was once meant for the Super Nintendo CD add-on that never happened? Stick around. We've got rare facts, developer secrets, and the full legacy of this legendary game coming your way. Secret of Mana, or Seiken Densetsu 2 as it was known in Japan, was developed by Square, the legendary RPG studio now known as Square Enix. The game was directed by Koichi Ishii, who also came up with the original Seiken Densetsu, a Game Boy title released in North America as Final Fantasy Adventure. Now here's something that most fans don't know. Secret of Mana was originally designed for the Super Nintendo CD-ROM add-on, a project between Nintendo and Sony that was eventually scrapped. When the CD format was abandoned, the team had to cut a massive amount of content to fit it onto a Super Nintendo cartridge. According to developers, nearly 40% of the planned game was lost, including deeper plot arcs and entire areas.
1991年ファイナルファンタジー4 1992年ロマンシングサガファイナルファンタジー5 1993年スクエアからまた RPG の新しい歴史が始まる聖剣伝説2スクエア
In Japan, Seiken Densetsu 2 launched on the Super Famicom in August 1993. The game was largely the same, but the Japanese version had a few subtle differences, including some text and dialogue nuances that were lost or simplified in the English localization. Localization was rushed to meet the 1993 holiday season in North America, leading to text bugs and missing context that hardcore fans still talk about today.
Peaceful land, paradise is threatened by an unspeakable evil, and only one person has found the power to restore perfect order. In a new action-adventure game for your Super NES comes an exciting tale, The Secret of Mana, from Square, maker of the world's greatest video game.
This wasn't your typical turn-based JRPG. Secret of Mana featured a real-time battle system combined with ring menus, which let you access spells and items without pausing the flow of the action. It also supported 3-player local co-op, an absolute rarity in RPGs at the time. While the third player needed a multi-tap accessory, the concept of couch co-op in a deep fantasy world was years ahead of its time. The haunting, layered soundtrack was composed by Hiroki Kikuta, who recorded the music using a custom tool he created himself to match the Super Nintendo's limited sound chip. That's why Secret of Mana's music sounds so organic. It was literally made with the Super Nintendo hardware in mind. The lush visuals and expressive pixel art pushed the Super Nintendo hard. And fun fact, the game uses a real-time clock system, syncing enemy respawns and events with your in-game time, something very few Super Nintendo games even attempted. Secret of Mana is the second game in the Mana series, which spans decades. Other titles include Trials of Mana, Seiken Densetsu 3, Legend of Mana, Children of Mana, and more recently, Echoes of Mana. The franchise has been remade several times, with a full 3D remake of Secret of Mana launching in 2018 for PS4, Vita, and Steam. Though not as commercially massive as Final Fantasy, Secret of Mana sold over 1.8 million copies worldwide, with strong sales in Japan and North America. While Secret of Mana has its own identity, comparisons have been drawn to The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past for its top-down combat. And more recently to Ni no Kuni and Tales of Arise for its real-time RPG systems. It also inspired multiplayer elements in later Square titles, like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. And in terms of atmosphere, fans say the spiritual vibe is closer to Chrono Trigger than Final Fantasy VI, which is high praise. Secret of Mana wasn't just a great RPG, it was a technical and creative landmark. From ambitious storytelling and cooperative play to a legacy that still echoes today, it's a title that absolutely earned its place in Super Nintendo history. Thanks so much for watching the history of Secret of Mana on the Super Nintendo. If you enjoyed this video, do us a huge favor. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss another look into classic gaming history. Let us know in the comments, what game should we cover next? And while you're here, click on one of the videos on screen to explore more from Rare Gameroom Gaming.